I sensed it instantly, the moment the key turned and the house hesitated. A pause no home should ever have. Houses breathe with you. They echo your footsteps, your habits, your life. But mine felt like it was inhaling someone else entirely. So I stepped outside, locked the door, and spoke loudly enough for the walls and for him to hear that I'd be gone for a week visiting my sister. A lie crafted carefully, believable enough, intentional enough. I didn't go far. Just across the street, tucked into the dark, waiting for whatever truth had been living inside my walls to finally show itself. That's when my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Hale, wrapped her cold fingers around my shoulder. Her eyes were even colder. "Midnight," she murmured. "Wait until midnight. You'll see everything." I didn't ask her how she knew. I was exhausted from pretending not to notice, tired of swallowing half-lies and smiling through them. Midnight sounded like justice before everything soured. He hadn't always been a shadow in my home. Once he was warmth, steady, gentle, grounding. The man who touched my cheek as if I were delicate, said my name like a vow. We met in a coffee shop during a winter storm. He offered me his scarf. I returned it 2 days later, washed, folded, and already stitched with feelings I hadn't dared to name. We grew quickly, too quickly maybe. Trust came effortlessly. Hope came naturally. So when he proposed, I didn't second guess a thing. I tied my future to him with a whole heart. I never imagined he would unravel his loyalty with empty hands. The first crack was small. A message he hit a little too fast. A smile aimed at someone who wasn't me. Business trips that never matched his coworkers' schedules. Perfume I didn't own. I stayed quiet. People mistake silence for obliviousness. It isn't. Silence is surveillance. When I found the unfamiliar earring under our bed, a gold teardrop, I didn't cry. I just shifted. Emotion off. Strategy on. I didn't confront him. That's what amateurs do. Instead, I studied him like an adversary. His spending patterns. The passwords he thought were secret. His midnight calls. The browser history he cleared on one device but not the others. It wasn't just one woman. He'd built an entire choir of lies, financial, emotional, physical. So I did what a calm, wounded, deliberate woman does. I built my exit like a snare. First, I separated my finances quietly. New accounts. A lawyer who worked unseen, like a shadow with credentials. Evidence collected, labeled, chronologically arranged. Then I released a rumor of my own. I'd be gone for a week. He relaxed instantly, the way guilty people do when they believe they've been gifted solitude. Perfect. Solitude is where people reveal themselves. Midnight arrived, baring its teeth. At 11:58 p.m., the house sat silent, dead. At 11:59, the lights sputtered on. At 12 o'clock, the door swung open and she walked in. Then another, and another. 3 women, each with bags, strolling into a house that wasn't theirs. Then he appeared behind them, laughing, loose, unburdened. Mrs. Hale stood beside me, arms crossed, watching like it was theater she'd seen perform many times. "That man treats your house like a hotel," she muttered. "You deserve better." I didn't breathe. Not from shock. Shock had abandoned me weeks earlier. What filled me was confirmation. The final piece I needed for the courtroom of my revenge. They drank my wine, sat on my couch, played games in the life I had built. And he, my husband, kissed one of them with a familiarity that should have broken me. But it didn't. Pain had calcified into clarity long before that moment. The fall. Before sunrise the next day, the police arrived. Not for noise, not for violence, for fraud. Because while he was busy shattering my trust, he had also been forging my signature on loans, credit lines, documents he assumed I'd never see. But I had seen everything, and I handed it all to the authorities with steady hands. He was arrested in front of the same women he'd entertained in my living room. The disbelief on his face was almost cinematic. "You did this," he whispered as they cuffed him. I didn't smile. Revenge doesn't need theatrics. "I just stopped covering for you," I said. His world collapsed in the space between those words. The payoff. By noon, the house was mine, legally, permanently. His accounts frozen, his schemes exposed, his life reduced to paperwork and witnesses. And I finally walked back into my home. It breathed normally again. Quiet. Uncluttered. Mine. Mrs. Hale watched from her porch, nodded once, and slipped inside, silent witness, quiet ally. I stood at the center of the living room where strangers had touched my things hours before and felt something unexpected. Not rage, not grief, not victory. Peace. Because revenge isn't the moment they fall. It's the moment you rise without needing them anymore. And that night, as the house settled around me like a loyal creature returning to its rightful owner, I whispered the truth I had earned. I saw it all, and I lost nothing that mattered.